All right, so I am back and I'm going to do a little bit of an unboxing for you today. Except that I'm not going to use a box because, like a kid on Christmas, I could not wait. So I actually have already opened the box. I have not looked at many of the books, and I'll explain why in just a moment. But you guys remember from my last video, I drove out to meet a guy about 2 hours away from where I live, and I purchased a couple of books from him to add to my collection to, package up and send over to CGC. I have a tendency sometimes to be a little cheap. So he had a large collection, and there were a couple of books that I wanted, which again I showed you guys, but there were some other books that I already had that I was reluctant to purchase because honestly I didn't want to spend the money because I've been spending a lot of money on books as of late. So I was trying to be a little prudent. And then I got home after the 2 hour drive, spoke to my wife about it, and she kind of looked at me and she was like, so why didn't you buy the books? So that prompted me to start thinking about, should I have purchased them even though I have them? Because maybe I could get a better grade if I sent them in. But they were really nice books. So I kind of kicked myself a little bit. I waited a couple of more days, hoping that the books would be sold when I reached back out to the guy. So I waited a couple of days, ended up reaching back out to him. And fortunately or unfortunately, the books had not sold. So we started going back and forth and arrived at a price, and then he offered me a better deal to give me more books for slightly more money. And so it was kind of a hard deal to say no to because, to be honest with you, I would have paid what he was asking for just the 3 books that I really wanted. But instead, what he offered me is this. So I'm not a huge fan of the Punisher book, but essentially what that is 2 through 63, along with I think 3 or 4 annuals of Punisher. So I think Punisher is one of those characters that I didn't really get into much as a kid. I have a few of his books that I purchased back in the day. Never really a big fan, to be honest with you. But then I watched the Netflix series and became a huge fan of the Punisher. And I just recently picked up a copy of his first appearance in Amazing Spider-Man. I'm actually waiting for that to come in now. But the guy basically offered me, I think it's like almost a full run. I haven't really looked, to be honest with you. But it's a pretty huge chunk of Punisher books. But the book that I actually wanted from that was this. It's Punisher #1 from the limited series. It's him on a fire escape with a bazooka. Talk about overkill. But it's a pretty nice book. It's actually a really, really nice copy of the book. Perfect corners, great color. There's a small piece of the back cover that's kind of flaked off there, but other than that, this book is in excellent shape. Maybe one spine tick that I can kind of see on the edge here, but I think it's a really great book that I will be sending over to CGC this weekend probably. So it's a pretty nice copy. But again, I got the full run and I really just wanted that one book. So when the package arrived, it came in a box, and I had already been going back and forth with the guy, knew what was in there because I knew what I had purchased. I immediately went to the middle of the stack of Punisher books to retrieve the Punisher #1, but also New Mutants 87. So I already have 2 copies of this book now. I have one version that is graded. I have a second that I'm about to send to CGC, and now I have a third. And I think that his copy is probably pretty high grade. I mean, the corners are perfect. There really aren't any spine ticks. I haven't looked inside yet, but I think that the pages should be pretty white, I would imagine, because he seems to be taking really great care of his books. The book wasn't perfectly stacked, so there's a little bit of a bend there in the book, but that's okay because I'm going to hit all of the books that I'm sending in with a a quick press. Hoping that will improve the presentation of the book and also improve the grade of the book. But the other big thing, and again, remember, I was trying to be cheap. I was kicking myself once I realized what I had done, because what I left on the table was not just those two books, The Punisher #1 and The New Mutants '87. Yep. But I also left this on the table. Yeah, trying to be cheap. New Mutants '98, and again, I have one copy of this now. Can't remember what it was. It might be like a 9.2, 9.4. I can't really recall, but this is a really, really clean copy of this book. I have a copy, as you guys know, from one of my other videos from my childhood. But again, I wanted to pick this one up. It's the first appearance of Deadpool, and I think Domino is also featured in here. What's cool about this, again, is it's a great book, but they're coming out with a movie. And I probably should have gotten this book the first time after driving 2 hours. This is part of what I left on the table. So a couple of amazing books. Oh, I also picked this up. Was able to find a copy of this on eBay. It's Amazing Spider-Man $7.95. So I just picked this up. The guy on eBay said that it was near mint, and I pointed out to him after taking it out of the plastic that it was anything but near mint. There's a tiny tear in the upper corner, and then there's a little bit of a color break on the spine of the book. So wasn't too happy with this guy, and let him know that. I definitely won't be doing business with this guy again, but I was unable to find a copy of this anywhere locally because I was late to the party. So I was able to get one copy from a guy. This is it. And I have one more copy coming. I have smartened up, and I've actually gotten on some lists at some local stores to be able to pick up, $7.97 through 800. I'm going to get multiple copies of that because I hear that there's some pretty exciting stuff happening. Somebody released, supposedly someone released the entire storyline and even some pages from the book, I guess, down in Australia. At least that's what one of the guys was telling me at one of the local shops here when I called. So don't know whether that's true or not. Maybe you guys have seen it or heard about it. If you have, post a comment. I would love to read it. So again, kind of kicking myself, but I was able to circle back, pick these books up. So super excited about this. I am literally sitting over here is 20 some odd other books that I am putting together to submit to CGC. All of them are modern books. There's a couple of keys that I've already shown you that are in there. There were a couple more that I have had that I'll be sending in. Looking forward to getting them pressed and graded and hopefully get them back in a couple of weeks. And of course, I'll show you guys. I'm actually going to try to do something a little bit different this time. I'm actually going to attempt to grade the books myself and then see how closely I can match what CGC ultimately comes back with. So I'm doing it really because I want to see whether I have the ability to identify the grade of the book. My thought is that that'll enable me to send better books in for pressing, for grading than I otherwise would. Being able to discern, what you want to send and what you may want to keep raw, I think is an important skill to have just because of the cost associated with grading. So it'll be a little game that I play with myself. Maybe I'll do a video of it. We'll see. I did have a question for you guys, though. Another question, I guess. One of the things that I was looking at was, is it Marvel Unlimited? So I was on the Marvel site trying to see what books are coming out. And, I found myself thinking, okay, maybe I need to buy 2 copies of really special books, one to read and then one to, encapsulate. And I stumbled upon the Marvel Unlimited, which I guess is a subscription that you can buy from the website to be able to read digital copies of books. I'm one of those guys that grew up, going to the comic book store, getting that stack of books, coming home and sitting and just reading those books for an hour or two, whatever it was, depending upon how many books came out that week, or depending upon if it had been a couple of weeks and they accumulated on me. But I would spend time reading the books and putting them back in the plastic, then placing them back in my box in order, because I am a collector, right? So I enjoyed that process. And I'm just curious whether reading books online takes away from that enjoyment, right? I mean, definitely it enables you to go and buy the book and, preserve the book, in plastic because you never get a bend in it, right? So it's like a perfect book. You can send it in. And because you're reading it online, and it's just, I don't know whether I'm going to get the same satisfaction from reading it electronically the way that I do, touching the pages and actually looking at the artwork right in front of me. So I'm curious whether you guys have purchased the Unlimited, whether you've thought about it, whether you've done it, if you like it, if you've thought about it, what's holding you back, et cetera, et cetera. So just curious what you guys have to say about that. So again, thank you guys for watching all of the videos that I've been creating. Thank you for all of the comments, the subscriptions, the messages that you guys have been sending me on Instagram. And what I found this very interesting. A lot of people have been saying to me that they share my love, not just of fitness, but my love of comic books as well. And I don't think that I was fully aware that there was such an overlap between fitness and comic books. And I'm not sure what the correlation is between the two, but I've received several messages from people that have indicated that they love both fitness and comic books, and they enjoy following me and watching my various videos, whether they be about comic books or about fitness. So it's an interesting thing, and I wonder how far that overlap goes between those two hobbies that I share. So I say that again to say thank you, and I welcome any comments, any suggestions, any feedback that you guys have. I still have 2 boxes, I think, that are with CGC, so hopefully those will be coming soon. We'll see. But there's a chance that I may get these moderns back before I get those older books back. But take care, guys. I am actually headed out of here to go train. It is about 9 o'clock, and we are going to head over to the gym to train some chest. Take care.